We'll start, okay? Before introducing like what we are doing today, I'll briefly give an introduction about myself. Who knows me, I think, who have attended, and the newcomers. I'm assistant commandant from CRPF. I've joined CRPF in 2019 and worked as assistant commandant. I've done my BE Civil Engineering from MS Ramaya Institution, Bangalore, and attempted Civil Services mains this year. So let's straight away jump to the topic. Why do we, what exactly we need to understand from newspaper analysis? Why we read newspaper? So this is our first thing. Why is important to read newspaper? Most of the questions, mostly GS 1 to 4, it will be covered through newspaper. 70% of the questions are directly taken from GS. Might be static or the contemporary issues, but you will have something from the newspaper. Okay, what to read? What exactly we need to read? We'll discuss when I'll do the newspaper now. How to link information with the prescribed syllabus. So before, what's your background? What you're doing? MBA. So have you seen the syllabus? So first thing first, go check the syllabus. You need to understand, you need to by heart the syllabus, everyone. Syllabus is most important. You should remember what it is. Yeah. Good evening. Then there are different approaches for 3 stages. Everyone knows there are 3 stages for this exam, right? Preliminary, mains, and PT. So how you have to integrate newspaper at different stages, you will understand, okay? I'll give you the marking, which is important for prelims, mains, different ways. Then 5th is maintaining notes and consolidation. Yeah. Everyone has to maintain 4 different notebooks. GS1, GS2, GS3, GS4. So that whatever marking I'll give you, like if it is for GS1, you go cut paste it or you write about it in your own words. This will help you in the later stage. You'll have a compilation of your own. Yeah, come in. And next, we'll straight away jump to the question paper, okay? Sorry, the newspaper. Everyone who has the newspaper? Who all has? Everyone has it, right? Okay. So let's start with the first one. Direct taxes kitty crosses 80% of 2023-24 target. So we need to understand the taxation system before that. What type of taxes the government can imply on people? What all taxes does it come? So what is direct taxes? Only income? So there are different types of direct taxes. What about indirect taxes? Okay, after GST, it has become one unified one. So let's first read the news. Net collection touched 14.7 lakh crore by Jan 17, a growth of 19.4% over the corresponding period. Provisional direct tax collection continued to register a steady growth. So there's a steady growth in direct taxes. But if we compare to the Western world, the OECD countries, the amount of tax to GDP, what India has and what they have, we lag a lot behind. So what tax to GDP we have is around 11%, very low. So you can write it down, whatever information I give you. This you have to mention in your answers when you write it. But what about OECD countries? They have 34% tax to GDP ratio. How does tax help government? So whatever, yeah, for the welfare, for the road construction expenditures, or for the salary of the government employees, it's been given from the taxes itself, right? So this is why we need to increase the taxes, like the buoyancy and the floor, the base. So we'll analyze this. Direct taxes, it comes under Income Tax Act 1961. The problem with India is only 6.3% adult population pay direct taxes. Why? Because most of them, more than 90%, are there in informal and unorganized sector. This is the problem. So we need financial inclusion, and there are different schemes which government has come up. So we'll discuss about that later. But this is the main cause why our tax to GDP ratio is very low, because 90 to 95% are in informal or unorganized sector, right? So let's read the newspaper. I'll just read the marked one. Can you see, everyone? Thus, who gives this report? The Central Board of Direct Taxes. So remember this. Who gives this? Who declares like the direct taxes about it? So let's read about this. Direct tax collection are at 80% of the budget estimates for financial year 24 as of January 10. The gross direct tax collection amounted 17.18 lakh crore, showing a year-on-year growth of 16.77%. Net direct taxes collection after refund stand at 14 lakh crores, reflecting a year-on-year growth of 19.41%. So you just need to remember it's a steady growth. Don't remember the numbers; it's impossible. The net corporate income has tax has grown by 12.137, and the net provision personal income tax has grown by 27%. So there's an increase in corporate tax also and personal tax also. So in this, we just need to remember two things. What are taxes, different types of taxes, and GST, which is the article for GST? Amendment and article 108. Which amendment was it? Like 101 Amendment Act. And yeah, so it was 101 Amendment Act, and it brought some changes in the Constitution, 279A, 269, and there are different articles which was changed. Let's move on to the next one. I don't know if you have this article or not. The Rabi crop cultivation make brisk progress. It's in the page, I think, page number 10. Do you have this one? Yeah, you can, surely. Okay. So it's not there, right? Okay, read from here. We'll just, why I want to show this one is, we need to remember the cropping system in India. Okay, the first article belongs to paper 3, market paper 3, economy. This also belongs to paper 3, agriculture. So what we need to remember is cropping system in India and different cropping times. So like Rabi, there are 3 types, Rabi, Kharif and Zaid. When do we sow Rabi crops? Usually. So this is like winter season, right? So Rabi, the news is about Rabi. So you have to remember like that. Rabi is only meant for the winter season. And Kharif, it's in the warm season. Zaid, it's in the hot season, like watermelon, all the fruits, what we get. So can you remember now? Like there are 3, Rabi, Kharif and Zaid. Rabi is in the winter season. Okay? So I have given, like, I have made some mnemonics for this. WBC low, and for Kharif, MSG Ram. So WBC is wheat, barley, and I think corn. And this is for Rabi. So barley, wheat, and corn, you'll get it in the winter season mostly. And Kharif is like cotton, maize, sugarcane, grams, rice. You get it in the hot season. So this type of questions they have asked in prelims. So to differentiate between Kharif, Zaid crops. Okay. So let's move on to the editorial. First one. This, before starting, I'll want to give you some brief information about this. There's a problem going on about the power of speaker and what are the rights what MP or MLA has. So before this is paper 2. Okay. Governance, you have this type of questions might be asked. They have asked the overuse of power by the speaker. And who all are newcomer here, like totally new to this field? Okay. So, speaker, like in parliament, you have Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. So speaker, at least you understand, right? Who's a speaker? Right? You have seen when they pass a bill in the house, there will be a person sitting there, not the president. President doesn't sit in the parliament at all. Speaker is there, and there's a vice president who sits in Rajya Sabha, right? So it's about the speaker's power because he can disqualify people on the ground of anti-defection. So we will read about the different types of disqualification what a MP or MLA can undergo. So there are three types of disqualification, which is mentioned in the Constitution itself. One, it is mentioned in RPA 1951. That's an act. And the third one is this anti-defection law. So through through three ways, a MP can get disqualified. You need to remember this. And this is available on Lakshmikant. I think after reading this, I'll show you some slides. Let's read. The power to disqualify should be in independent hand. So this article is about this only. So because most of the time the speaker belongs to the ruling party. So he can actually, the opposition party, he can remove them by any which means. Yeah. The Maharashtra Assembly Speaker Rahul, ruling on the disqualification petition filed by a rival faction on Shiv Sena, demonstrates why the adjudicatory function under the anti-defection law should not be in the hands of presiding officer in the legislature. So I told you it's a matter of like it should be given to an independent or organ or a member which they have chosen among themselves, like something in that way, because parliament has the power and then the act has the power, but he's the third person who has the power. He's a person there. Mr. Narvekar verdict conveniently draw upon some aspects of the Supreme Court final verdict on May 2023, in which a constitution bench ruled that the governor was wrong in asking the then Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray to undergo a floor test, and that the speaker was wrong in recognizing the Shinde faction appointee as the party's whip. So this is internal things we don't need to remember, but there's something internally which is happening in the party system and how they have been appointing the I think Chief Minister. So, however, the court had conceded that the speaker may have to decide on which faction is the real party when adjudicating a question of defection. So this was about defection. Okay, so I will tell you about what are the laws available. So this is from Lakshmikant. For MP, what are the qualification? You need to read this, you need to remember this. This will be asked in prelims. Anything from this can be asked. A constitution lays down. So here the constitution lays down, not the, like, it's itself, the constitution itself says this. Lays down the following qualification for a person to be chosen as a member of parliament. First, he must be a citizen of India. He must make and subscribe to the oath or affirmation before the person authorized by the election commission for this purpose. First, before giving the subscription for the party, he has to give an oath in front of election commission. Once he gets selected, then again he has to take an oath in front of presiding officer or the president, whoever appoints. Okay, so this is before the election. He has to give his affirmation in front of election commission. What he has to give? To bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India, to uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India. Third, he must not be less than 30 years of age in the case of Rajya Sabha and not less than 25 years of age in the case of Lok Sabha. This is important. They have asked it multiple times. So what is the age limit for Rajya Sabha? And for Lok Sabha? 25. He must possess other qualifications prescribed by the parliament. The parliament has laid down the following additional qualification in RPA 1951. See, now the parliament has himself made an act and it has given extra addition thing. He must be registered as an elector for a parliamentary constituency. This is the same in the case of both the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha. The requirement that a candidate contesting an election to the Rajya Sabha for a particular state should be an elector in that particular state was dispensed in 2003. So that is what he's trying to say is like the same person from the same state is like he can contest from different state actually. It's not required that he has to be from the same state for Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha is basically he's representing a state there. So it is not required. In 2006, the Supreme Court upheld the constitutional validity of this change. He must be a member of the scheduled caste or scheduled tribe in any state or UT if he wants to contest a seat reserved for them. So there's a reservation in seat also there. However, a member of scheduled caste or scheduled tribe can also contest a seat not reserved for them. SC/ST candidate can compete in open category also, right? And so it was about disqualification. I have given you the first, we have talked about qualification. At least brief idea, you have something like, you need to remember everything, this can be asked anytime in the exam, okay? Second, we'll talk about disqualification. Under the constitution, first is I have talked about three things: constitution, RPA, and what was the third one? Which was the law which we read about? That article was about which law? The speaker had some power under which law? Right, anti-defection law. So disqualification, under the constitution, a person shall be disqualified for being elected as a member of parliament. So this is under the constitution, okay? If he holds any office of profit under the union or state government, except that of a minister or any other office exempted by the parliament. If parliament exempts, then it's allowed. Otherwise, if he holds any office of profit, he is disqualified. If he is of unsound mind and stands so declared by a court, if court says that he is of unsound mind, or if he is like mentally challenged, he'll be disqualified. Third, if he is an undischarged insolvent, it's related to the money thing. Fourth, if he is not a citizen of India or has voluntarily acquired the citizenship of a foreign state. So citizen is a fourth criteria. Fifth, if he is so disqualified under any law made by parliament. If parliament has made any law and he is disqualified under that law, he still got disqualified. The parliament has laid down the following additional disqualification in RPA 1951. So I have told you three places disqualification. First is parliament constitution itself, which we read. These are the 5 things in the constitution. This can be asked in the previous, like in the question bank, like is it mentioned in the constitution or in the RPA or under the anti-defection? You need to remember all this. There are like 10, I think, around 10 or 12 disqualification criteria. You need to remember all the 10 or 12. So this was under constitution. So next we are reading about RPA Act 1951. Let's see what RPA Act 1951 says. He must not have been found guilty of certain election offences or corruption practices in the election. Right? He must not have been convicted of for any offence relating in imprisonment for 2 or more years. So 2 or more years, he'll be disqualified. But the detention of a person under a preventive detention law is not disqualification. So there's punitive detention and preventive detention. We'll learn about it. What is preventive is like if something's gonna happen, if that person is about to kill someone or he can actually incite violence. Before that incident happens, police can catch him, saying that he might have done that. So that is called preventive detention. So, but a person who is under a preventive detention is not disqualified. He must not have failed to lodge an account of his election expenses within the time. So RPA 1951 basically deals with election and all those laws, like if there is some problem with that. He must not be a director or managing agent, nor hold an office of profit in a corporation in which the government has at least 25% share. He should not be a director where the government himself owns 25%. He must not have been dismissed from the government services for corruption or disloyalty to the state. He must not have been convicted for promoting enmity between different groups or for the offences of bribery. He must not have been punished for preaching and practicing social crimes such as untouchability, dowry, and sati. But we see nowadays there are multiple, it's a grey area. So on the question whether a member is subject to any of the above disqualification, the president decision is final. This is important. Like whose decision is final? President will decide. And in anti-defection, who decides? Speaker decides. So is it open for judicial review? No? Can judiciary get into the matter like if it is malified? If If the speaker has done it intentionally, can judiciary overrule it? Does judiciary has that power? Check and balance. So if something a speaker decides, can it be challenged in court? It can. It should be. That is what the check and balance parliamentary democracy stands for, right?
Social claims, accessibility and
Yeah.
I think last happened, the MP was not allowed to the village itself.
So, yeah, okay. But was he disqualified? So this is what I said. It's a gray area. People can, banish him from the local area, but the court has to decide, and it goes. It's a long case. It's a big heinous crime also. The proof lies on the burden. Like the burden lies on the person then. So this is why they don't opt for this thing to go to the court and all. If court takes the case, he'll be disqualified.
No, no, sir. He did not do that. The people that did for the MP itself.
Oh, was he from the reserve category?
Yes.
Okay. So, do you think it's right or wrong?
First, I will ask the constitution.
Even today,
Huh?
in some village also.
This is common. See, all these things will be happening. What we can do is to bring the change. This is why we want to get into the administration. Once we are in the administration, a person like who has a sound mind, he can bring change, right? So we need to go in that direction. That's all I can say. So the third one is disqualification on the ground of defection. Now we are reading about defection, what that article was about, right? Yeah. The Constitution also lays down that a person shall be disqualified from being a member of parliament if he is so disqualified on the ground of defection. So this is first on the ground of defection and the provision of the 10th schedule. You need to remember this. It's under 10th schedule. A member incurs disqualification under the defection law if he voluntarily gives up the membership of the political party on whose ticket he is elected to the house. If he has, for example, if someone has fought from BJP and he has given up, so he'll be disqualified because he's giving up voluntarily. If he votes or abstains from voting in the house contrary to any direction given by his political party, this is called party whip. There's a voting, think if there's a voting during a money bill, and usually same party members will vote for it. If somebody doesn't vote for the bill, he can get disqualified, which is actually not right, because he doesn't have his own own discrete ideas. He has to follow the consent of, it's a collective decision. His own decision doesn't matter there, but he can get disqualified. Third is if any independently elected member joins any political party. If an independent member, you understand, if he joins any political party, he can get disqualified. If any nominated member joins any political party after the expiry of 6 months. Who are nominated members? Yeah, a literature or someone who is done in excellent in some other field, be it science, art, or sports person. If he joins any political party after the expiry of 6 months, that means he can join, right? So you need to remember this. So this afterward, independently elected, this is party whip. Okay, I'll just write whip. So there are 4 criteria here, right? The question of disqualification under the 10th schedule is decided by the chairman in the case of Rajya Sabha. Who is the chairman in the case of Rajya Sabha? Vice President. So, you are understanding? Are you able to follow?
No, you just listening.
No, are you able to understand at least?
No.
So you can ask me if you don't understand. Don't sit like that.
Your hands on just.
Okay, whatever, if you are not able to understand, ask me. I will try to break it down in a simpler way. Okay. Tomorrow, anyhow, I think the polity class will start. So I think in there we'll start with basic things. So there you'll pick up all this whatever words were coming here, right? You will understand later on. But whatever I'm telling you, you can write it down at least, so that later stage you will remember that all this thing was taught in the class. Okay. So this is basically disqualification. If you don't like, there are members like we elect someone, we go vote, they go to the parliament or to the Vidhan Sabha, they also get disqualified. You can take them out. Like, who takes them out before expiry of 5 years or 6 years? So that is the procedure we are discussing right now. Like, what are the procedures through which a MP or a MLA gets disqualified? How he can be removed? So there are three ways I have told: through the constitution itself, through an act which is made by the parliament, RPA Act 1951, and there's a third one, anti-defection law. So there are three things. Yeah, that's also a law. It was under amendment, I think 85th, I think, or 82nd. It was done through an amendment act, the 10th schedule. Under 10th schedule, the anti-defection law was brought in. It is a law. It's a schedule. We have a schedule when we will read polity. We have, I think, 12 or 13 schedules. So every schedule talks about something. So it was under 10th schedule, this anti-defection law was brought in. So slowly you'll pick up, don't worry. But just remember that what we're learning right now, we're learning about disqualification, okay? So the question of disqualification under the 10th schedule is decided by the chairman in the case of Rajya Sabha and speaker in the case of Lok Sabha, and not by the president of India. This is important, where it says, okay, this is a problem, no? So I can't write on this, huh? So here it says, not by the president of India. So just remember this. And other two, who was the one whose like consent was required to disqualify? For other two, president. But only for the anti-defection, it is the speaker. Okay. In 1992, the Supreme Court ruled that the decision of chairman speaker is, in this regard, is subject to judicial review. So this is what I asked: is it open for judicial review? What does judicial review means? Can judge, the Supreme Court or the High Court, can they get into the matter and say it is wrong? It is like, it is not the right way you have done it. That is called judicial review. The judiciary has taken it. So there are three organs: legislature, executive, judiciary. So legislature is the one which is called parliament, where the executive sit and they make law. When they make law, it becomes an act. So legislature has that power. But who sits there? It's executive, the MPs and MLAs who sit there, right? So when they do something wrong, who has the power to undo it? Judiciary. Okay. So this is what they are saying. Judicial review is open for this. And vacating, we are not reading about this. Only, so what we read about was disqualification and qualification. So what is the age for Rajya Sabha?
30.
And for Lok Sabha?
25.
Okay. So do we need an independent? So what was this article about? The power to disqualify should be in the hand of like it should be given to independent organ or a body or a person. Should be given to speaker. So this is basically about that, because it has an enormous power. Who has the power in other two aspects? It's the president himself. But here the speaker gets this power. So this is why this article was about. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. Are antibiotics overprescribed in India?
Disqualification means you disqualify whole tenure.
Yeah, for the tenure. Yeah.
Not the dismission.
No. Only for the tenure he'll be disqualified. Then he can again come back. That's not a problem. Like if he gets elected again. Yeah. Major so this is about antibiotics and its overuse. So what are antibiotics? Like everyone knows, like whenever we fall sick and we eat tablets, right? So this article is more about the resistance what people have acquired. If you start eating lots of antibiotics, what bacteria which has caused it, and if you take the antibiotics again, it will not help you. So this is called antimicrobial resistance. And how does it happen? This article is all about that. So what is the major problem we'll discuss? Okay, let's read it. The National Center for Disease Control recently found that over half of the nearly 10,000 hospital patients surveyed for a study were given antibiotics to prevent rather than to treat infection. So they are giving antibiotics to prevent it rather than to treat it. There's a difference, right? Before prevention and cure. You need to give antibiotics for the cure, not for the prevention. It's found that 55% of the patients surveyed were prescribed antibiotics as prophylaxis or preventive. Only 45% were prescribed antibiotics to actually treat infection. This is worrying as India carries one of the largest burden of drug-resistant pathogen worldwide. What is antimicrobial resistance and how did India reach this stage? Antimicrobial resistance is defined as resistance of microorganism to an antimicrobial agent to which they were first sensitive, like E. coli, Klebsiella, etc., have even become resistant to some of the latest generation antibiotics. Why is it bad? Because think if you have some flu, which can be treated by a normal tablet, now that tablet will not be useful for you. So they have a list of drugs like antibiotics. So there are stages. One stage, one generation, second generation. If you are like exhausted all the possibilities of fourth generation, fifth generation, there's no tablet which can save you actually then. And it is very important. We reached this stage due to the combination of factors. Why this has happened? First, this reason might be asked, okay, this is health, paper 2. In paper 2, national health policy and the Indian condition can be asked in mains. So this is paper 2. In that we have to understand what is AMR and what country has been doing to fight it. We reached this stage due to the combination of factors. First, the inappropriate use of antibiotics in non-bacterial infection, both because of prescribing practices and the use of over-the-counter antibiotics. What do you mean by over-the-counter antibiotics? What is it? Yeah. What we do, if we have something, we just go to the shop without any prescription, we will take it. And even that guy will give us. That is not allowed. If you see the tablets, it's written Schedule H. If it is written Schedule H, it itself says that you need a prescription for that. But what does these people do? They become themselves doctors. You have headache, take this tablet. You have this, take this tablet. So there's a problem with this. If you have loose motion, they give, I think, loperamide. So there's a tablet, yellow tablet you might have seen. So that's a basic tablet which they give to everyone. What does it do, that tablet? How does it stop your loose motion? It actually blocks the intestine. So it's even more dangerous. It's not stopping your loose motion. It's stopping that, it's blocking your intestine so that your stool doesn't pass. So you should not take that tablet ever. Like this has been prescribed by the doctor himself. Second, inadequate laboratory facilities to inform clinical rapidly. So clinical trials are done. Those things are also missing in India. Third, the lack of adequate training in antibiotic selection, escalation, and de-escalation. This is from the administrative part. Fourth, the inadequate monitoring of AMR and control of antibiotic prescription and dispensing practices. Even the doctors prescribe nowadays, and why they do it, we'll see it. Fifth, the incentivization of prescribing practice by the pharmaceutical industries. The industry is also involved here. They'll make money if you tell the pharmacist to sell it. So there are multiple reasons. There can be a reason from our own side that we go by it, from the doctor's side, the clinical side that they're not doing much test. Fourth, from this pharmaceutical industry themselves. Okay. Both NCDC and ICMR, Indian Council for Medical Research, have guidelines for the use of antibiotics. There is no scarcity of guidelines, but implementation is a different story. So India, there's a problem. We have laws, we have everything, but where we lag is implementation. If you want something, we'll make a law, but who will implement it? There's no one. So that's a problem what India has been suffering from. So see, they're saying they have many guidelines, it seems. So let's see. Next, following COVID, and now with the knowledge that humankind is vulnerable to ever-present threat of an outbreak due to climate change, zoonotic spillovers, resistance creeping in from agriculture product and poultry, how important is judicial use of antibiotics in the world and what is the immediate danger that we face? Here they have used two words, agriculture product and poultry. Do we use antibiotics in agriculture and poultry? Right? If you see, what do we call farm, like in Kannada, what is it called? The white one, the white hen, broiler, yeah. So how do they become so muscular and big? With antibiotics, correct. So there's a chain reaction. They have given antibiotics and we consume them. So we also have that now and we become resistant. So this is about that. In agriculture also we give it, in different types of fertilizers are used and different types of, and even there also we use it. Okay. See, E. coli and Klebsiella infection in hospital were resistant to what we simply call the third and fourth generation antibiotics. So even the third, fourth generation of antibiotics, people are resistant now, which is very bad. The trickle-down effect from poultry and agriculture are also high, particularly industrialized agriculture, which is more common in US and China. So in agriculture, there it is even more common, AMR, US and China, because they have a well-defined agriculture and poultry system. They are like mechanized, they are the producer basically. So this is important from the perspective, what measures have been put in place by the central government most recently to control AMR in India? Are they enough? So this is important. What government has been doing to control it? So we understood what are the problems, how it has been happening and why it is happening. And what government is doing to tackle this issue, we'll read now. In 2011, we brought out the first national policy for containment of antimicrobial resistance. So whatever here we come across, try to remember everything. The Chennai Declaration, National Policy for Containment of Antimicrobial Resistance. This you need to write in your answer if anything related to this type of question comes. Okay. We also banned over-the-counter use of antibiotics, H1 rule. We had already banned it, H1 rule, inspired by Chennai Declaration. So if in prelims, if the question comes, what is Chennai Declaration related to? So you'll be able to mark it. It's related to AMR, antimicrobial resistance, right? This is important, Chennai Declaration. A new H1 rule banning only second and third line antibiotics was brought out. Even this modified rule was not been implemented. While there are subjects, different types of subjects, union subject, state subject, and concurrent subject, and this residual also. But three subjects we need to remember. Health is a state subject. What does that mean? State has to take care of the health things. Center can help it in a complementary way. Center can give them money, but it's the responsibility of the state. So, is agriculture state subject or a union subject? Union subject? Concurrent? It's a state subject. Agriculture, health, land, all are state subject. Okay. To control AMR, while health is a state subject, to control AMR, we need strong center-state coordination because center has made laws, but it has not been implemented because health is a state subject. In 2019, banned by the Indian government on the use of colistin, what you said, as a growth promotional agent in poultry farming is a significant step regulating antibiotic use. So what was the name? Colistin. This was the antibiotic which they use. Okay. Colistin is the most powerful antibiotic that is available to treat infection in humans, but they have been given to poultry thing. What is interesting is that the highest per capita in antibiotic usage is seen in countries with the highest privatized healthcare. This trend clearly indicates that improving public health system and public health delivery, including sanitation, is key to curbing any rise in AMR. So these are the solutions. One solution is to implement the laws which have been made, and these are the solutions on the ground, what is required. Improving public health system and public health delivery, including sanitation, is key to curbing any rise in AMR. Even within the country, states with good public health system has lower AMR. So who has, like, you think who has the best healthcare system? Tamil Nadu, Kerala, the southern states are performing very well in all these things. This is the way forward. Where were we? Okay. Yeah. Sanitation. State with good public health system have lower AMR. This is the way forward. Planned expenditure, structured delivery of services, and robust accountability of public health system are all important factors that will help. This is your conclusion answer. You need to write like this in some answers. She has mentioned everything here. Planned expenditure, structured delivery of services. Services is like what, this is what government has come for. For the welfare, they'll open school, they'll open hospital. These are the services which are being provided by the government for the people, for the downtrodden people. So it says structured delivery of services and robust accountability of public health system. Accountability. If there's a hospital, there should not be any corruption. So that accountability should be there, and their doctors are actually present in that hospital. They're not like, going for the private hospital. And the medicines are already there, whatever they have procured are all important factors that will help. Okay, this article you understood? You, what's your background, like what you have studied? Chartered accountant. So this was AMR, like this is like related to medicines, so at least something.
I'm just listening. I'm new here. This is the first day.
Okay, but do you understand something? Okay, slowly you'll pick up.
The resistance and I can able to relate it, but not fully.
Okay, this was basically a science, like a general knowledge thing. Let's move on. You know Agnipath scheme? Who knows? What is it? Yeah, sure. Yeah, for 4 years. Yeah, so it's basically you can join the defense services, Agnipath scheme.
Only 25% is taken next. After 4 years, only 25% is promoted to.
Okay, so, like for the permanent one. Okay, so Major General Manoj Pandey says there is zero tolerance for human rights violation in Jammu Kashmir. Says the army is taking step to improve human and technical intelligence in the UT. He adds the situation along border with China is stable but sensitive. There is a human right violation case which has been come up recently. So what has happened in the Poonch area, the Rajouri and Poonch area, there were like some killings. Like we lost our some 3-4 men. So I don't know, it was a ambush or something, but it is said allegedly that the Indian army people, they had picked up some three villages from their local villages, and allegedly they say that they have made videos and they were beaten up and they died. So there's a human right violation case which has been happened, and because of that there's a brigadier and the colonel, they all got suspended, and there's a case going on. So this is about that we have zero tolerance for human rights violation. We also follow UN, like there's a UN charters for human right, so we are a member of that. So human right is like we take it very seriously, and we have NHRC also, but it functions. It's not justifiable, like it's not what we say, like non-enforceable. Basically, it's a recommendatory body, so you need to make it a mandatory body. This is what they've been fighting for, but that is secondary. Let's read. The situation in the Rajouri Poonch sector of Jammu and Kashmir over the past 5 to 6 years, as well as the high attrition rate for army personnel, the chief Pandey said on Thursday that local support was crucial. This is important. The Agnipath scheme launched in June 2022. The scheme is aimed at short-term recruitment of soldiers, sailors, and army airmen for 4-year period. So Agnipath, it gives recruitment for 4 years in all the defense services, Army, Navy, and Air Force. Let's go on to the next one. Minority rights to open institutions not for ghettoization. Supreme Court on Thursday observed that the rights given to religious and linguistic minority to establish and administer their own educational institution under Article 31 of the Constitution was not intended to ghettoize. It's like for the isolation basically. This case is related to Aligarh Muslim University. They want to declare themselves as a minority university. So the Supreme Court says you are not a minority university. So this is a debate between that two. The Chief Justice is headed by 7-judge bench hearing a reference related to a minority status of Aligarh Muslim University. This is Article 30, which is important. Article 30 does not mandate that the administration of minority educational institutions should be only by the members of that community. So it says like if it's a Christian college, or not just the Christian who will administer it. It can be a Hindu also, it can be a Muslim also. Right? So Article 30 does not mandate that the administration of the minority educational institution, administration should be only by members of that community. So all the community can get into the administration basically. The provision confers on the minority the discretion to choose the administrator of the institution, the CGI added. Last is this one, the AMU established in 1875. Who established this? AMU? Sir Syed Ahmed. In 1875 cannot be considered a minority in situation given its national character, because it was established way back. So how can we give him minority character? And it has a national character also. Sir Syed Ahmed, he was a nationalist leader who used to believe that he was a first modern Muslim person, we can say. He used to believe that in one hand you need to carry Quran and in another hand you need to carry science book. The amalgamation of both is required for a Muslim person. He used to say that in that time. This article is about the UPA, Unlawful Prevention. What is the full form of this? Unlawful Activities and Prevention Act. So in this, they have made changes now. Even a single person can be considered as terrorist. Earlier, an organization was supposed to be called as terrorist group. Now they can even designate a person as a terrorist. So let's read this. Days after declaring a Muslim League Jammu Kashmir and Tariq-e-Hurriyat Jammu and Kashmir as unlawful association, the Union Home Minister on Thursday said state could also seize funds and confiscate properties associated with two organizations within their jurisdiction. So the state can even confiscate their properties. The two organizations were declared unlawful under the anti-terror UPA last month. The ministry in a notification said that in exercise of power conferred by Section 42 of UPA, the central government hereby directs that all powers exercisable by it under Section 7 and Section 8 of the said Act shall be exercised also by the state government and the UTs also. So whatever power the state union had, it can also be exercised by the state and the UTs. While Section 7 of the UPA pertains to power to prohibit the use of funds on an unlawful association, Section 8 gives power to notify places used for the purpose of unlawful association. You don't need to remember the sections, but you just need to remember there's an act, UPA Act, which is meant to curb all these activities, illegal activities or anti-terrorist activities, whatever is happening. And which is the body? Like, that's the next article. NIA? Okay, when was it established? After the Mumbai terror attack. It's a central agency. After 2008, it was established. And more about it, we don't need to read. In Lakshmikant, we have a chapter on all the bodies, the constitutional and non-constitutional bodies. We need to read those things. It can be asked directly in the prelims or in the mains directly. Like they have asked NCST, NCBC, they have asked directly. Yeah, so for 10 markers, they can ask, or in prelims, they can give some options between them. Next. Surat, Indore, cleanest cities, Maharashtra tops the state. So this is about such survection, like they are giving rankings to the state and the cities. So Indore is first as always, and Maharashtra has topped this time. There's one more article. Where was it? Okay. Let's read the international news. Tankers in Gulf of Oman boarded by men in military uniform. An oil tanker once at the center of crisis between Iran and US was boarded in Gulf of Oman by unauthorized men in military uniform early on Thursday morning. It is suspected that Iran was involved in the incident on the ship once known as Suez Rajan and had the US seized 1 million barrel of Iranian crude oil from it. So what we need to remember for our from exam perspective: Strait of Hormuz, Red Sea, War Bandar, and Sea Lane. Why these points are important on map? If you see the map, these are the choke points. From here, the trade passes. If you have to go to the Europe, the easiest way is this. Otherwise, they have to follow the whole what right now they're doing from through Africa. They're going through Africa right now. The Cape of Good Hope, I think, right? Through that point they're going now. But this is why that this point there was Suez Canal crisis which had happened in 1948 or 56. I don't remember 56 or 48. There and recently also last year there was a I think traffic jam because of a ship became inclined or like horizontally inclined to this stopping the flow. So this is very important. This point is very important. Strait of Hormuz and Red Sea, because most of the sea lanes pass through this, and it saves a lot of money for the country. For India itself, like 90% of our trade is through sea, and 10% is through other means. So because it is very cheap, and it's in our vicinity, Indian Ocean vicinity, and we are the net security provider here. So it becomes very important for us. Okay. Next is Maldives, China commits to greater strategic cooperation, signs 20 MOUs. So Maldives supposed to be like a tiny island. So recently, I think there's some ministers have passed some comments on our honorable prime minister, and after that we have suspended our tourism. So and if you see, we are the one like last 3 years we highest number of tourist people who have visited. So and they are like I think pro-Chinese now because recent change in the government, and they have been given a lot of more money, financial help. It is called checkbook diplomacy. What China do it? It's a debt trap diplomacy. Checkbook means they'll give you any amount, take it. But when they have to take the money back, most of the countries can't give back. They're not in a situation. So they go there, they send their Chinese people, they build their own place with their own army, and they'll take that place. So this is how they're doing it. It's a new colonialism. So now they have signed some strategic cooperation with Chinese, and they're a member of BRI also. What is BRI? Border and Road Initiative, right? I'm missing it. Wait. It's OBOR, One Belt and One Road Initiative, basically. So it's a second name, BRI. Belt and Road Initiative, sorry. BRI is Belt and Road Initiative. It's a string of pearls. What was before China, like before I think 1950s, they had a plan how to navigate the world. So they have reinvented that same thing called BRI or OBOR. So it's called string of pearls diplomacy. Okay. Here what we need to understand is like Maldives are going closer to China even more, and they belong in our strategic viewpoint in the Indian Ocean. So it is very important. Next is genocide case against Israel opens in UN court. South Africa has filed a case against Israel, and both the members are part of UN Genocide Convention. So this is why whoever is a member of UN Genocide Convention, they can file a case in ICJ, International Court of Justice, and it has a legal mandate. Like they can give. Here it is not mentioned. No? The ICJ can give legally binding decisions. So this is why they have gone to Israel to ICJ. So ICJ is International Court of Justice. It's a part of UN. Why this is happening? Because civilians have been killed. Like there are, I think more than 26,000 civilians have been killed in this incident right now. 22, around 22,000, which is a lot. Like UK eyes its biggest nuclear power expansion in 70 years. So European countries have their own issues right now, since the inflation has hit them very hard, and Russians are the one who are providing oil to them. Even the Nordic supply chain has been like, there's a pipeline which has been broken, and because of that ongoing war, Ukraine versus Russia, so the supply of oil has been stopped, and there's a sanction also on Russia by US. So it comes in CATSA and other sanctions too. So those, due to that sanction, nobody wants to deal with Russia. India is buying it, but we have to buy in different ways. We've been buying. I think we were the highest buyers of Russian oils. So this is why they are planning for nuclear power now. That's a good source of energy for them to become self-sufficient. Even the renewable energy is there, but this is also a good energy. So this is why they're planning to expand. See, US eyes its biggest nuclear power expansion in 70 years. UK, sorry. That region is like devoid of energy right now, and inflation has hit height, like it's I think years high now. Yes, so yes, the newspaper gets over here. You have any doubt? Who are the new ones, like who have joined? You. What's your background? MCom? BCom, you? Okay, MBA. You're studying, still studying BCom? Which year? You? Second year? Completed. You, ma'am? You have done it? Okay. And you are a CA? Okay. And you?
I'm engineering, like second year engineering.
Okay. This is a great time, good time you have joined before. So we'll go slowly. If you don't understand, do ask me, please, because it's of no use if you keep it with yourself. There are so many words which we are discussing right now. I might use the, not the basic words. The old guys who have studied the books and all, they will understand better. But for the new people, you should tell me if you don't understand. Okay. Did you understand something in this? What we read today? Something like the tax to GDP. What is the tax to GDP of India? 11%. So it is very low, right? What about OECD? How much is it? 34%. Okay. And that power of speaker, at least you understood that. It's a very big topic in parliament when you read Lakshmikant. It's an important topic. It's a hot topic because this is what we're seeing every day in every state which is not ruled by the union government party. So this will be happening, and that's the power of speaker, and there's the power of governor. Governor is a bigger issue in that, more than that. So we'll be reading now and then, it will be coming. So we will discuss through newspapers only. So what is the advantage of newspapers? See, we didn't just read the newspaper right now. We analyzed it, and different types of information also I try to give you. This is how you have to read it. You have to mark it. And okay, before this, whatever newspaper international relation we read, right, it comes under paper 2. We have a topic under paper 2. So all those things you have to mark under paper 2. And antimicrobial resistance, I have told you, it comes on paper 2 again, health part. And this comes under IR, international relation. Okay. So this is what it's done for today. This is today's newspaper. You have any doubt?
Why that Ravi news is not news?
Ravi News, okay. This is Hyderabad newspaper. Zone, different zones. You have a Karnataka edition, right? So there are different editions what the Hindus gives. So this is the Hyderabad one. And if you go, so that was a local news basically. This is why it was missing, I think. But I've told you about Rabi, Kharif and Zaid. You try to remember that also. And go whatever topics I try to give you, right? Research from your side, so you'll have a better understanding also later. And if you have any doubt, do ask me. Tomorrow, day after tomorrow, anytime you can ask me. Okay? Chalo, we'll wind up now then. Okay. Any doubts?